Have you or someone you know ever experienced addiction? In 2014, an estimated 22.5 million Americans aged 12 and older self-reported needing treatment for alcohol or illicit drug use. Approximately 3.8 million substance abusers are college-aged, and out of this number, only about 11% ever seek treatment. 40 to 60% of people who have been treated for substance abuse relapse. In 2015, we lost 50,000 people to overdose in the United States. Our society has reacted to drug use by calling it a war on drugs, where drug users are punished and locked up with the belief that that would give them an incentive to stop. When they come out of jail, they have a criminal record, and this record comes with a negative social stigma which can affect their ability to achieve their goals and their desired careers. Unfortunately, criminalizing people who are struggling with addiction and putting them in jail does not seem to be working. Inmates who are released from prison show high rates of relapse, overdose, and suicide. Some of the problems they face are returning to an unhealthy environment, lack of positive support systems, inadequate resources, and mental health issues. Have you ever wondered what causes someone to become an addict? We have learned that substances can cause a chemical dependence, which leads to physical addiction, and that genetics play a role in whether a person is susceptible to addictive behaviors. But how can so many people be medicated with chemically addictive medications such as opiates if they're injured or in the hospital, which are synthetic versions of heroin but not develop an addiction? And how then do they just return to normal life when their prescription is finished? In the 1970s, there was a revolutionary experiment conducted by Bruce Alexander and his colleagues which changed the perception of how people viewed addiction. It was called the Rat Park Experiment. Previous research had shown when rats were put into a cage and given the option to medicate themselves with drugs, they would use the drugs more and more until they eventually overdosed. Bruce Alexander decided to see what would happen if the rats in his experiment were not isolated in cages with nothing to do except the drugs, but were given companions and things to play with. They took groups of rats. The first group was put in cages by themselves after they were weaned with the option of either water laced with morphine or regular water for the duration of the experiment. The second group was put into a rat park, which was filled with male and female rats, space to run, and toys and tunnels to play with. The third group was first put in the isolated cages for half of the experiment until they got addicted, and then they were placed into the rat park. The first group became addicted to the morphine-laced water, but the rats in the rat park never became addicted. They would occasionally try the morphine-laced water, but were 19 times less likely to drink it than the isolated rats. The rats that became addicted to the morphine and then were moved into the rat park chose to stop drinking the morphine. So what could this mean? Rats are social creatures, as are humans. During the Vietnam War, many soldiers who were stationed overseas were using heroin, and it is estimated that about 20% were physically addicted. They were in a stressful and drug-filled environment. And because of this problem, the government created a program to attempt to prevent relapse and rehabilitate the soldiers when they came home. However, they found that 95% of the soldiers who were addicted did not relapse on heroin after returning from Vietnam. They came home to freedom, family, and a different environment. Through both experiments, Alexander wondered if addiction is an adaptation to your environment. This is a problem of bonding. When we are traumatized, isolated, or beaten down in life, we will bond with something that will give us some sense of relief. Therefore, people are twice as likely to become addicted to drugs if they deal with mental issues like depression, anxiety, and loneliness. On the other hand, if they feel loved and supported, they will bond to the healthy environment. As a community, we need to make an effort to help these individuals reconnect. Avoid making those struggling feel isolated or shameful by criminalizing or judging them. We can help surround them in a healthy environment by encouraging them to get involved in positive activities or offering job opportunities, but most importantly, by treating them as humans who are craving what all humans need most: love. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, reach out for help. Call 1-800-000-00.